Welcome to Inside the Tailgate. Now your hosts, Ryan and Bo.
All right.
Hello, and welcome to Inside the Tailgate. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Bo.
And today we're going to be talking NFL. Mostly the divisional round of the playoffs. But we've got some other things planned for you today. How are you doing today, Bo?
Man, I'm doing great, Ryan. We're here inside my camper. This is our first official podcast, and couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this first episode. It's been something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. Really excited that we finally got off the ground, and we're going to be doing it.
I am too. We just spent the last, I'd say, hour and a half working on the set, putting everything together, and I think it turned out pretty good, except for the gap that I just saw there. But
yeah,
other
looks
than
like we
that,
lost a couple, but
hey.
Show goes on.
Yeah.
So, I was going to start off today with a segment where we're going to talk about some of the best players from the week and their performances, and we're going to give out our player of the week for the divisional round of the playoffs, of course. So there are three names that stood out to me from this last weekend of football. Those guys being Jayden Daniels against the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs against the Commanders, and Saquon Barkley taking on the Los Angeles Rams. So, in Jayden Daniels' case, he passed for 299 yards. He nearly got to the 300 mark in only his second ever career playoff game. Absolutely insane.
Incredible what he's doing right now.
He rushed for another 50 rushing yards. He had 2 passing touchdowns. I think he went 22 of 31 passing. He had a pass rating of 122.9. Incredible game coming from a rookie quarterback. And he had to play in Detroit in front of those fans, which, speaking as a Lions fan, that's some pretty tough crowd to play in front of, especially as a rookie. So
that's tough. And
tons of props to him.
Coming into the playoffs, the Lions were on the list of people's favorite team to make the Super Bowl, especially after the last couple of years and the diversity that we saw with them and, working their way up. And the fact that they went into Detroit, rookie Jayden Daniels, like you said, just incredible what they're doing there.
Yeah. To go into Detroit and upset was maybe the Super Bowl favorite as a rookie quarterback, someone no one saw winning that game. To walk out of there with a multiple possession win is absolutely insanity.
Insane. And he, coming from Broncos fans, Bo Nix fans, originally Bo Nix haters, we don't have to talk about that. Jayden Daniels is the rookie of the year and one of the most impressive rookies, I think, in modern history.
Yeah.
He's been something.
What C.J. Stroud did last year, I think Jayden Daniels improved upon it. I think he had a better rookie season than what Stroud did last year. And Stroud had an insane rookie year last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So, who else is on your list there?
The second player that I had was his opponent, Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back for the Lions. Now, unfortunately, they did lose, but he seemed to be the only Lion that did want to show up and play for the Detroit crowd on that day. He rushed for, I think it was 105 yards. He had another 70 yards through the air. So, complete versatility from him. He had 2 touchdowns on the game, including the opening score. He was just the backbone of the team that day. He was the only consistent guy. He was the only one that kept him alive, gave him any sort of chance to win the game. But unfortunately, he just couldn't do enough to help the team win. But he still had an amazing game on his own.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be a running back and do that is definitely big props. Who's the other guy that was in that rookie class with him? It was him and
Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, I don't know who's better out of the two of them right now. I think they've both really...
I think you got to give it to Gibbs.
I think you might have
Bijan is a great running back, and he's just as versatile as Gibbs, but Gibbs has the upper hand when it comes to breakaway speed, which I think is a huge factor because Bijan tends to struggle once he gets into that opening, but when Gibbs gets into that open field, he's gone. It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, he plays more winning football, and it's not necessarily a fault of Bijan's, of course. His team is a little rougher around the edges. Gibbs was drafted to a Lions team that was ready to compete. They were only 1 game out of the playoffs the year before. And Bijan got drafted to a Falcons team that had picked in the top 10 for years in a row. I think that was their third top 10 pick in a row after taking Drake London and Kyle Pitts the 2
Right.
previous years.
Right.
A lot harder of a situation. He also had to play with Desmond Ridder and Kirk Cousins and then Michael Penix. He's just had a revolving door of quarterbacks. It's been a lot harder for him, but
Pure talent wise, it's just hard to kind of say who's better. Different skill sets, but just a good class overall. And I like that pick of Jahmyr Gibbs there. So who's your third guy?
And third and final guy, Saquon Barkley. He had maybe what was the best game of his entire career. He had 205 yards on the ground. He had 232 total. He rushed for 2 touchdowns, and both of those touchdowns, 60-plus yards, both of them. One was 62 yards. I believe the other one was 74 or something like that. So just very impressive.
Incredible
from him.
Incredible. And I just think he's the finishing touch to that Eagles offense.
Mm-hmm.
They've been good in the past with their running backs. I think it was a couple of years ago they had like 3 guys that they were using, and that seemed to work. But Saquon Barkley just seems like he's a fit on that team. And I think in the future we'll be looking back at his days with the Giants as the pre-Saquon days.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll really be looking at his highlights with the Eagles as prime Saquon Barkley. And he showed some of his best highlights this year, and he's in that conversation for, breaking records this year for all-time
2,000-yard rusher,
2,000-yard rusher, and man, he's going to break Terrell Davis's record of total yards
and a playoff
regular and postseason.
Yeah.
He's been spectacular.
Yeah, it's probably he's on pace currently to have the best running back postseason probably since Terrell Davis, when he ran all over the defenses and won Super Bowl MVP with the Denver Broncos. So, incredible season that Saquon Barkley is putting together, and he really needed it after the tough year that he had in New York last year and all the injuries he's gone through and just everything with New York. Really glad to see him finally break through and show his full potential to the NFL world.
Definitely found his home there in Philly. All right.
But out of those 3 players, which would you say had the best week?
Well, I'm going with the latter. I'm going with Saquon.
Saquon?
A legacy game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you could pick anyone else. Jayden Daniels is definitely number 2, just because of the situation that he's in and what he's done as a rookie. But I'm putting Saquon in that number 1 spot for Player of the Week and propelling the Eagles to a potential Super Bowl. So,
personally, I'll go Jayden Daniels then. 300 yards passing, another 50 on the ground, doing that on the road in Detroit as a rookie. Second playoff game ever. Impressive stuff. Really proud of that guy, and I can't wait to see what he has in the future. He might be the best quarterback in the league in 3 years.
Hey, honestly, I could see that. No hate to Jahmyr Gibbs either.
Yeah,
you're
love.
pretty good too.
Love you, Jahmyr. You my running back 1. But
all right, guys, and this podcast would not be complete without one other person, and that is our friend Matthew Tackett. So we want to welcome him to the podcast now to give his opinion, and he's very colorful. He's going to give a lot of opinions, and this is our third guy. So welcome on, Matt.
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
it's going pretty well. We're having a fun time recording podcasts,
Number 1.
Like, yeah, that's great to hear. That's #1 podcast in the world. You boy knows it,
Yeah, for sure, man.
Manifest it, yeah.
All right. So, what you guys want to talk about first?
So, I want to start us off by getting into the Texans-Chiefs game. Very controversial game, as we all know. There were a couple of calls here or there, just like every Chiefs game, of course. But this one was a tough one to swallow. The Texans, they outgained the Chiefs by over 100 yards. They didn't turn over the ball once, and they still lost. Previously, teams that had done that were 49-0 in a playoff game when they outgained their opponent by 100 yards and didn't turn over the ball.
Wow.
And the Texans did all that, and they became the first team in 50 out of the 50 games that have been played to lose.
Wow.
Damn, that is kind of crazy. It is nuts to know. However, I do have to say that this Texans-Chiefs game, I got to say the Texans kind of had it coming. I got to say the Chiefs, in my defense, I got to say the Chiefs, this was their easiest, possible scenario to be able to get into the conference. any other team, I guarantee you, definitely would have beat the Chiefs. But guaranteed, since the Texans had to come in, the Chiefs were like, "Oh, dude, this is too easy." But I gotta say though, C.J. Stroud did have a good game. It was fairly accurate. I think it was like 70% completion, maybe 69. But I do remember he did have like 245 passing yards that game. However, in that game, he didn't score a single passing touchdown. And I mean, if you don't get touchdowns in the game, I mean, how do you expect to win? Especially when your defense doesn't really do the job that they, go out there to do. They go out there. They played a fairly good game, but they also made plenty of mistakes, and that ultimately cost them the game.
Yeah, there were a couple players on the Texans that I noticed that were struggling throughout the game. Azeez Al-Shaair, playing back after his suspension after the hit on Trevor Lawrence, seemed to struggle. They tried putting him in coverage on Travis Kelce multiple times, and it didn't work, including Kelce grabbing a touchdown. But, I mean, Kelce had a fantastic game. He had 100 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. He was the only player in the entire league this last week to record 100 receiving yards and score a touchdown.
Wow.
So very impressive stat line from Kelce, unfortunately. But
well, I want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs and a little bit about the Texans here. And I'll ask you this question, Matt. Do you think the rumors are true that the NFL script, so to say, is that the Chiefs win their 3rd Super Bowl, 3 back-to-back, and Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift? What are the odds that you think that that's going to happen this year?
See, I gotta say, that would be a pretty good storyline, given the fact that, as much as I hate seeing all this Taylor Swift stuff all over the NFL, I do have to say, if the Chiefs do win the Super Bowl and Travis Kelce does get down on his knee, that would be pretty cool. However, gotta say, not a chance. Not gonna happen. I gotta say, I truly believe in these Bills, man. The Bills are gonna get it done. I have a strong feeling. And sure, they may have a very bad record in history when it comes to Super Bowl. 0-4, I believe. But
well, before we get into the Bills, Matt, let's go to the Texans first. I'll just say about the Chiefs. If that does happen, I hope it's the fairy tale ending to that whole story and maybe the dynasty. Maybe that's what ends this Chiefs run in the dynasty. But let's move on to the Texans. What do you think is in store for the Texans next season, moving forward? Where do they go forward from here?
Well, I think something that they've got to focus on is they've got to get another receiver for Stroud. I know it sounds crazy. They've already got Nico, they got Diggs, they got Tank Dell, but Tank Dell's expected to miss all of next season after his injury. And Diggs has shown that he's inconsistent, and he got hurt again this year. The Texans are not going to succeed if they do not have a consistent wide receiver room. They need to find someone else that will be consistent threshold in the Texans wide receiver room, kind of like Mike Evans is for the Buccaneers, just someone who will be there and will always play good and can help the team win.
I like that. What do you think, Matt?
I agree. Yeah, I at first, that was my exact reaction, Ryan. I was like, well, I mean, they already have, receivers, but then I started to think, to be able to change a pace is truly what the Texans need, because I guess just what they have just isn't getting it done. So what I truly think they need to do is just win in the draft. You know what I mean? Just they need to set. I would say get a good left tackle. I would say a very good backup left tackle. Start learning from their veterans that they got there. Definitely have him, but definitely get some a wide receiver or two for sure. Because C.J. Stroud is just he's got so much talent, man, and he can take that team so far.
Yeah, and going into the point on the tackle, of course, Laramie Tunsil, Pro Bowler. He's a great player, but he is getting up there in age. He was also, I believe, the most penalized player in the NFL this season. So, he is starting to have his struggles. It may make sense for them to start to find that new offensive line corner piece to be Stroud's blindside blocker.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think moving forward, we're still in a league that defense does win championships. And I think we saw that with a lot of teams this year. The Minnesota Vikings, with that defense and what they could do with the Denver Broncos defense, the best defense that they've had since, 2015.
Yeah.
And, just where that brought them, good defense really allows you to get that offense moving. So I think if they look, just keep building that defense.
Yeah.
And keep growing on that side of the ball. I think they're going to be in really good shape once C.J. Stroud gets over this sophomore slump and moves on to his third year.
Yeah, and not to go back on talking about the Chiefs and everything, but that's where their strong suit is now. They used to be a powerhouse offense team. Now they're a powerhouse defense. Steve Spagnuolo, great defensive coordinator. He knows what he's doing. He kept hitting C.J. Stroud. He knew how to run these blitzes that put C.J. Stroud under pressure and put him in bad situations. He kept getting hit. He kept getting sacked, and that's part of the reason why they lost, was because Spagnuolo's defense just overwhelmed him.
Absolutely.
Defense is still a very important key to the modern day NFL.
Do you think he's leaving the Chiefs next year? Do you think he's gonna go head coach somewhere?
I don't think Spagnuolo wants to be a head coach.
You think he's staying?
I think he's a coordinator guy. There's just those guys. Head coaching isn't for everyone. I think Spagnuolo is one of those guys where he's just going to be a coordinator and he's going to be fine with that. He's going to make his money. He's going to win his championships, and he'll have a great career off of that.
I like it.
I 100% agree with that. I don't think he takes a head coaching job because, you really have to put 100% of your entire life into that job.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And you got to start from the bottom, with a whole different team, and risk shattering your reputation, the reputation that he's built there in Kansas City. So, moving on to the next game, we got the Commanders.
Yes.
And
the Lions.
The Lions.
Heartbreaker, man. Heartbreaker.
You're telling me.
I can't believe my eyes.
That was one of the most rough playoff games I have ever had to witness. Because, obviously, I'm a Broncos fan first, but if you don't know this, I am a Lions fan secondary. Diehard for both teams, of course. But I love the Lions, and that was a very tough game to sit through. It was probably the toughest playoff game I'd had to watch since the Broncos-Colts game in 2014.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I think if there's anyone for the Lions to lose to, though, it's the Commanders. I think that's so exciting that they're in this place now and working towards that Super Bowl. What do you think is next for the Lions? What do you think's in store for them for next season? Where else could they possibly go? How could they build that roster up anymore?
It's going to be tough because they lost Ben Johnson too. Ben Johnson, if you don't know, he did sign a job with the Bears yesterday to become their new head coach. So they're losing their incredible offensive coordinator, and they're going to have to find someone that could replace that. Of course, I think that's going to be their most important thing. They might also lose their DC, Aaron Glenn, which he's also one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. So losing both of them is going to be really tough. They're going to have to try to find someone to replace both of those guys if they want a chance to contend again next year.
Yeah.
I'm still just distraught by this game, man. I really I had this game on and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen, and just the Lions, they were looking good. It was the turnover game, man. It's what they lost. That's where they lost, man. It was 3 turnovers, I believe, in that game.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, the Commies, I don't think he had a single one.
No, the Commanders didn't turn the ball over at all. Lions turned it over a lot, including what I'd say is one of the dumbest play calls I've ever seen. With Lions season on the line, they're down 17 points or something, and they decide to run a wide receiver pass with Jameson Williams, where he then throws a pick. It was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen from as great of a play calling offensive coordinator as Ben Johnson was. It was really tough to see something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. It's just, man, that team had such just high hopes going into the postseason. I think, a lot of people think they were going to make a run and go all the way this year. And to have their hearts broken like that is definitely tough, especially for Lions fans and, all the fans that made their way out to the stadium. That's a heartbreaker for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's a team that's going anywhere. This wasn't their last shot to make it to the big game.
Mm-hmm.
They're still growing. They're still a young team. And there's still a lot of potential there. So I think the Lions are going to be contenders for a while to come.
Yeah. And it does suck. They were missing Aiden Hutchinson, too, and he's
that's a
the
big
star of
piece.
their defense. They had
That's a big
22
piece.
total players on IR, you know?
Yeah.
It was David Montgomery played in the game, but he had just come off from what people originally thought was going to be a season-ending injury for him. So, you know, just a lot of tough heartbreaks for them, you know, so many injuries and just... But if they could maintain their health, I think they could get back next year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely, 100% too. I think they go and get the same exact record that they had this year, next year, 100%.
That's a bold take, but I like it.
What was
you
the
know?
record this year?
They went 15-2.
Wow, you think they go 15-2 again next year, huh?
100%, if not better. If they go undefeated, I wouldn't even be surprised, man. This team's got so much talent, and not only that, if they just stay healthy, that's the only thing that they need. If they stay healthy, this team can make a run for many championships for many, many years.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've done in Detroit to go from, and in that case, Matt, that'd be the first team to ever have a losing season, 0-16, and also have a winning season, 17-0.
Yeah.
First team to be undefeated and completely defeated. So that would be pretty cool if that happened.
Mm-hmm. And a
That's
little bit of
pretty electric.
little bit of a side tangent I just want to go on. There is, unfortunately, the curse of the 15-win team. There's been two 15-win teams to ever win a Super Bowl, the 49ers in 1984 and then the Chicago Bears in 1985. Since then, every other team that's won 15 games has not been able to win a Super Bowl. That includes the 2015 Panthers, who had their collapse in the Super Bowl. You have the 2011 Packers with MVP Aaron Rodgers, who lost to the wild card New York Giants in the divisional round of the playoffs. You had the 98 Vikings, who, as everyone knows, unfortunately, their amazing kicker, Gary Anderson, misses the kick just barely, and they end up losing to the Falcons, and then the Falcons go on to the Super Bowl. It's been a long time since a 15-win team has been able to grace the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, which there are two 15-win teams this year, so maybe that's some bad luck for the Chiefs. But
Let's hope.
it did hit the Lions. So, 15 wins, not where you want to be as a football team, I guess.
I guess so. Wow. And so moving on to the Commanders next year. So if they can pull this off and make it to the Super Bowl, or if they don't, if they lose to the Bills, right? No, the
Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles. What's in store for their future? Because I think they just there's so much in front of them. There's so many ways they can go. There's so many ways they can grow on an already proven team that they're just in a really good spot right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're in a good spot right now. Dan Quinn has done an amazing job coaching again. And, Cliff Kingsbury has been an amazing offensive coordinator for them. He was someone that I very heavily doubted when he was with Arizona. So I've definitely been proven wrong this year with his ability to coach that offense and what he's done with Jayden Daniels and the rest of the offense.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin had probably the best season of his career, and he's probably just going to keep getting better with Jayden Daniels' improvement. I think something that they could improve on is maybe getting a better running back, because Brian Robinson's great, but he's very injury prone, and Austin Eckler's also good, but he's got very little rushing upside. He's very great receiving back, but very little rushing upside, and he is older. And this is a very stacked running back class. There is a lot of really talented running backs going all the way into the fourth round. You could see NFL starting caliber running backs get drafted this year. So I think they could find that new running back in this draft to really give them that extra edge.
Just a superstar, and you've seen what teams can do with a mobile running quarterback and a really good running back. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, what they did this year. Incredible with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. When you have that duo in the backfield, a really good quarterback and a really good running back who can both, run the ball and just mess with the defense and the ability to pass. Jayden Daniels, he's been incredible with what he can do. It's like watching his college tape.
Yeah.
You watch his college tape and you're like, this guy's either going to be he's going to be the second coming of Robert Griffin, or
he's going to be Robert Griffin that reaches his full potential.
Yeah, this is what Robert Griffin looks like if he were to stay healthy.
Yeah, or he's...
hopefully doesn't get the same injury on the same yard line for a third time.
Well, it's not going to happen. But
Let's hope not.
We need some wood in
but-
here, so like anytime someone says something like that, we can knock on it. Well, I guess this is made out of wood. Let me just knock on it.
But, he's been great. Really glad. Jeez, I'm really struggling with that word today. That's the second time I've slipped up on it. But I'm really glad to see Jayden Daniels just going off in the NFL. I loved watching him at LSU. Heisman winner, of course. It's always great to see someone win the Heisman in college and then have a great career in the NFL.
Yeah, and just a great stand-up guy too. He's a lot of fun to watch. Definitely one of my favorites now. Now all that team needs, I think, moving into next year is honestly, and this is a very controversial take, but we're just gonna kind of say how we feel in this podcast. I know it's not gonna happen, but I think the Commanders need to go back to the Washington Redskins. Trump was just elected into office again. I think a lot of changes are happening. Canada's going to become a part of America. I say, why not? Let's make the Commanders the Redskins again. And I don't think there's many people who disagree with that. Especially in the NFL audience, the Native American community at large, I think a lot of people want to see that that logo and that history kind of come back. And I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope it, at least in some extent, that they bring some of that history back in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's definitely a lot.
Never taken it away.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of history with the logo, but maybe it's a new era for them. They are proving to be a really great team under Commander's name. Sometimes it's just maybe time for a rebrand.
That's a good point.
The Cleveland Browns, they rebranded into Baltimore Ravens. What'd they do? They won a Super Bowl like 4 years later.
Yeah,
with Ray Lewis.
That's a really good point. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it's just a change of era. But I do wish that they would show some respect or honor to their history of the team. They have some great players in that legacy. So
absolutely, yeah.
Seahawks should have put me in, man. I could have brought us to a Super Bowl this year.
What position?
Sorry, just had to get a little off topic there.
What position would they put you in, Matt? Quarterback?
Oh, dude, I would say quarterback, but in reality, it takes so much effort to be an NFL quarterback. Do I think I could do it? Absolutely. Do I think they'd actually let me? No. I think I could do kicker if you gave me time.
You think you'd be a better kicker than Jason Myers?
100%, dude. I hate Jason Myers. Dude, get him out of there. I cannot stand him.
Do you think you'd be a better punter than Michael Dixon?
Dude, no, absolutely. Michael Dixon is literally like my hubby.
All right. Okay, you're not fully delusional, so.
Yeah, 100%. No, dude. Michael Dixon is literally he may be getting a little older. Yes, he's been with the team for quite a few years now. However, he's still got more years to go. He's going to be with us for another decade. I can't wait.
Matt, I think what you're saying is basically you just want Michael Dixon holding your balls for you.
A little bit, yeah. I do like Michael Dixon a lot.
All right, let's move on.
Now let's move on into the Seahawks division rival. That's how we're going to segue this. Seahawks division rival, the Los Angeles Rams. They played another playoff game this year with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, all of them. They were taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. It was a snow game. We love football when played in the snow.
Love it.
It's best. It's the best weather for football to be played in.
Football weather.
Yeah.
It's football. It's postseason football weather.
And my God, did Saquon Barkley. I mean, we already talked about it, but I just need to talk about it again. He went off in the snow, man. This guy is insane.
He's something else. And unstoppable. I really think that he's going to bring that team to a Super Bowl, and it's so much fun to watch what he's been able to do. First time in the postseason.
Second.
Did he make it with the Giants?
He did make it once with the Giants. They upset Kirk Cousins' Vikings, actually.
Was that Danny Dimes' first season?
This was like his fourth season or something like that. It was back in because Daniel Jones.
I remember that. You're right.
He had a really good year, and they made a run to the playoffs and everything. So this isn't Saquon's first time in the playoffs. He's got a little bit of experience there. Yeah. But this is definitely a better team than what he had the last time he was in the playoffs, and it's way better offensive line, and it's clearly showing. But I mean, just in general, it seemed like the Rams were struggling against all sort of run, because Saquon, he had the 2 touchdowns for 60-plus yards. Jalen Hurts also added a rushing touchdown from 40 yards out. You know, they just couldn't stop the run. They played earlier in the year, too, the Rams and the Eagles, and when they did that, Saquon Barkley had over 300 total yards in that game. You know, probably the best game from a running back that I've ever personally seen, and it happened against the Rams. They just, unfortunately, couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, and
you love to see it, man. You love to see it. There's nothing I love more than waking up in the morning knowing that the Rams are going home.
I understand that. As a division rival, I would absolutely love to see my division rivals lose and get their hopes crushed in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Chiefs are a division rival, so we have to see them succeed every year, which really sucks. But I was really hoping that Stafford could maybe break through and win another ring, you know, because there's only been 9 quarterbacks in NFL history to win 2 rings, you know? So if Stafford could have been propelled into that group of guys, you know, Joe Montana's, the Tom Brady's, the John Elway's, you know, he would have been joining some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. You know, Peyton Manning won 2, Eli Manning won 2. These are some of the best guys to ever play the game. These are first ballot Hall of Famers, or should be first ballot Hall of Famers. And, you know, it's not over for Stafford. You know, he's always got more years, but I felt like this was probably his best chance to win, and unfortunately they fell short. And if you don't know, Stafford's like my favorite quarterback of all time, besides Peyton Manning, so love the guy. So it was unfortunate to see him go down, but, you know, they put up a fight to the end. It was a close game. The Eagles did go up 28-15. It looked like it was over, but the Rams stormed back. They scored a touchdown, and then they got pretty close to the end zone again in the red zone. They missed a couple of throws, missed the throw to Puka. After Puka had an amazing catch earlier on the drive too, but missed the throw to Puka on the 4th down, and that's where their season ended. And, you know, maybe next year. But what do they got for next year?
Well, I gotta say with the whole Cooper Cup situation, this is gonna get a little sticky because he did inform the front office and, you know, the head coaches and all of the coaching staff that he was not comfortable with his revised role ever since Puka came back. And with the next season that comes up, I truly believe that he takes his frustrations out on the team, and I think it tears the team apart a little bit until they release him after the 2025 season. That may be a hot take, but I truly believe I think that's how it's going to go because, like, I don't know, he is getting a little older for sure, and I think he just wants to succeed on a different team.
Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, it's not necessarily weird, but, like, Cup, he was such an integral part to the Rams Super Bowl winning team a few years ago. It's been really weird to kind of see him take that back seat to Puka Nacua, you know. I don't think he had recorded a single catch against the Eagles this week. It was, you know, he's really starting to, you know, kind of fall out of irrelevancy with the team and everything. And, I mean, I don't know if he's comfortable with that role or he's not. I could sense some unhappiness brewing and everything, but
I can confirm he did not have, no, never mind. In that game, he actually did. He did have 5 catches for 61 yards.
In the Eagles game?
Yeah. So I guess we
under the
wrong.
radar.
Yeah.
7 targets.
Wow. I was wrong on that stat. My bad.
It's a solid 9.1 fantasy points.
Yeah. Still less than what you'd want from a wide receiver, but, you know, a good game.
100%. Not a bad game, though. Yeah, not a bad game. If he would have had a touchdown, it would have been an even better game, but still pretty solid. You know, I'll take it. You take it where you get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like this was maybe the Rams' last kind of hop at the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I think they got one with Stafford. I personally don't see them getting another one with him. And I don't know the direction that team is heading in the future, to be honest. I mean, they're still building. They still have a good team. I don't know if I see them going back. And Stafford's getting older. I don't know how many years he has left. I know he's still chasing that second ring. And if he gets it, I think he's definitely a Super Bowl. Or I'm sorry, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Like, he's put himself in the Hall of Fame.
I think he's a Hall of Famer now.
Do you think he's a Hall of Famer now, Matt?
I'm so sorry. I just yawned. I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that?
Matthew Stafford, do you think he's a Hall of Famer as of right now with his current resume?
Okay, so this is actually so interesting because we had this conversation a lot over the years. But pre his Super Bowl win, I said absolutely not, no way no way in heck, no way in a million years. But now that he does have the Super Bowl ring under his belt, 100% do I believe he's a Hall of Famer? Yes. First ballot, not a chance though.
No, that's what he would need a second ring to potentially have.
Put himself
You
in
know,
that
to
first
get
ballot,
that first ballot. You know, that's what Eli had. He has better stats than Eli does, and Eli's probably going to be a first ballot with his 2 Super Bowl victories. So
He's probably. I'm not gonna lie. This may be a hot take, but I don't care. Eli Manning is probably the worst quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl.
there's a lot worse quarterbacks out there that have won Super Bowls.
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah,
Is the name
Trent
that comes to
Dilfer
mind?
with the 2000 Ravens.
Well, yeah, but I said one of them. I think is what I said. If I didn't, then I meant to say one of the worst.
Yeah, Eli Manning did have an interesting career. He didn't win a single playoff game outside of his 2 Super Bowl runs. So that is a very interesting stat.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting back onto the Rams, something I noticed that happened a lot with during the Eagles game, Kyren Williams seemed to struggle a lot with holding on to the football. Now, I'm not saying that they necessarily need to move on from Kyren Williams. He's still a great running back. He was an All-Pro last year. He's still a great runner. But I think they might need to start giving Blake Corum some more carries because, I mean, Blake Corum was a Michigan football legend, won a national championship with them as their starting running back. He's a great back. I think they really need to start involving him more in the running game if they want to start having a chance because giving Kyren Williams like 20 carries a game doesn't seem to be healthy for him because it's hard when you're to carry the ball 20 times a game, 25 times a game, and not fumble it at all, you know. And unfortunately, this time it bit him in the butt. He had a very crucial fumble against the Eagles, and it kind of cost the team.
And little things like that. That's what make or break a football game. You know, small turnovers like that, losing the football, you just can't do it, and you certainly can't do it on a consistent basis, and especially not in a postseason game of that importance. So. I think they'll definitely have to look for a different running back, a better running back there, I think they'll go from there.
100%. I think they definitely is evident that they did lose trust in him, given the fact that they only targeted him twice in that game. They just realized they're like, I don't know. They took him out of the game, which was smart. They didn't physically take him out of the game, but like they just didn't target him at all, which I think was a very smart decision. However, it's just in reality it comes down to defense. If the Rams I think the Rams just really need to stop and focus on their defense next season, and if they don't do that, then I truly believe that it's over. I think it's over for them for the next minimum, I'd say maybe 5-6 years.
I mean, I kind of agree their defense isn't where it should be if they want to contend, but they've got a really young defense with a lot of young key players on it. Jared Verse, of course, is a rookie. Braden Fisk, another rookie. Byron Young, who was a rookie last year. You know, they've got a bunch of just really young, talented guys. They just kind of got to grow into their own, I think. They definitely need to work more on their secondary, I think, because those are all guys that play on the front seven. But if they can work out their secondary more, along with having those guys on their front seven, just develop and get better, I think that they could get their defense to where it needs to be. Of course, the loss of Aaron Donald really blows for the team. You know, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the greatest defensive player of all time. So, you know, losing him really blows. But, you know, I think they're doing right by replacing him with a player like Braden Fisk, who had an amazing rookie year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can't replace a guy like Aaron Donald, like you said. You just can't. But you have to try. You have to bring other guys into that spot and stay strong there. I feel like a lot of teams kind of shy away from that. They lose a big impact player and they look otherwise, or they try to form a new identity. But I think the Rams are kind of staying true to that same identity that's helped them win over the past years. And we'll see how the future looks for them. But I'm kind of with you, Matt. I don't know. I don't see much competition in their future. So, But we'll see. You never know.
Definitely.
And just real quick, going back to your point that you were making, the Eagles, they also lost a first ballot Hall of Famer, Jason Kelsey, this year,
Yeah.
And they did the same thing as the Rams. I think they did it slightly better, replacing Jason Kelsey with Cam Jurgens, Cam Jurgens is already a Pro Bowler, so, like, they did a great job replacing their Hall of Fame center, So, and I mean, it was really nice to see, of course, before Braden Fisk got hurt, see the young Braden Fisk take on young Cam Jurgens, in the place of Kelsey versus Donald, which was a legendary matchup over the last few years.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's cool to watch for sure.
And finally, we have the last divisional game of the week. We have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Buffalo Bills. And boy, was this a game.
You want to talk about heartbreaker. Mark Andrews, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a tough no catch.
Mark Andrews, he had a really tough second half. He had a fumble that gave the ball back to the Bills, and then with very little time left on the clock, the Ravens go down the field, score their touchdown. They go for 2 to try to tie up the game. They run a play that they've ran multiple times, both in practice and in regular season. They've done it before. But the last few times they did in a live game, it didn't work out for them. But they still knew it was a money play. They tried it once again. Lamar snaps the ball. He rolls right. Mark Andrews is on a flat. He follows him to the right. And right by the pylon, Lamar launches the ball to him.
Perfect ball. Right
Hits
in the
Mark
breadbasket.
Andrew right in the chest, in his hands. Perfect pass. And he just cannot hold on to it.
And that's one that you want to have back. And Mark Andrews was just kicking himself after that.
Yeah.
Something that he's done in practice a million times before. Something that's just second nature to a guy to a guy like him who's just catching balls for a living and to drop that. But I like Lamar Jackson's response. He didn't put him down. He didn't say, well, if he caught that, we would have won the game. My receivers have to be better. He said, we all make mistakes. It's part of the game. It happens. And I'm not putting this blame on anyone's shoulders, but it's if we win as a team and we lose as a team.
Yeah.
I think that shows a lot in his leadership. He also had a lot of other stuff to say and choice words during that press conference. And he's clearly frustrated because he wants to get to that big game.
I mean, you win 2 MVPs, you might win a third, you really want to win that Super Bowl to go along with those 3 MVP trophies, But, it just wasn't the year for him.
Yeah.
But
I hate this whole voter fatigue thing, man. I can't stand it because I'm hearing a whole bunch of people say I'm sick and tired of Lamar Jackson winning MVP. Like, in my opinion, he's a close second, but it should be Joe Burrow, man.
You have Joe
Burrow.
Burrow as
Wow.
MVP this year.
Should be Joe Burrow. He did the best out of any QB this entire season. Had the most passing yards. He had the most touchdowns, I believe, as well. I don't know about passer rating. I think Geno Smith had the best passer rating. Don't quote me on that. But
I definitely won't quote you on that.
We won't quote you. I kind of like where you're going, Matt.
You can say what you want about Geno Smith, but he was top 5 QB in almost every stat this season. So just saying.
Hey.
Except for interceptions, we don't look at that.
Except for
I mean, he might have been top 5 in throwing interceptions.
But no, he was top 3 in passing yards. He finished the 3rd.
I like where you're going with that Joe Burrow take. I don't think a lot of people would have him as the MVP, just because the
Which
Bengals.
is crazy to me.
Well, because the Bengals didn't win a lot of games, it makes sense. And you put Josh Allen there, you put Lamar there because they took their team into the postseason. They had a winning culture, and it was mostly because of them. But if you look at Joe Burrow, that team didn't have a winning season, but they almost got into the playoffs. They were fighting to the last minute. What would that team look like without Joe Burrow? I think you have to look at that factor too. Is he an MVP? Because without Burrow, I don't know if that team would win 5 games.
Yeah.
Maybe less. So I like what you're saying, because in that sense, maybe he is the most valuable player in terms of how many games you win.
Yeah, if you look at the award, like what it is, there's no other candidate. I mean, he had, for lack of a better word, he had a Peyton Manning type season. Had basically 50 touchdowns. He had over 5,000 passing yards, And Peyton Manning in his best season ever, which was his second to last season with the Broncos, I believe, he had 5,500 passing yards and like 56 total touchdowns on the season, which is crazy. Absolutely insane. And to say that, like,
in 16 games, too.
Exactly. And to say that any other QB deserves to be even looked at, in my opinion, is ridiculous. Because, like, no other QB came close to him in any stat.
Well, my counter argument for that is that Josh Allen, who is my personal MVP candidate, is my MVP favorite and everything. He was able to take the Bills to one of their best records that they've ever had without having another Pro Bowler on his entire offense. I think maybe Deion Dawkins made it, but that's it. He didn't have another All-Pro on his offense. I know that for sure. He had very little Pro Bowl help on his offense and on his defense too. He was kind of just a man on his own, and his stats don't necessarily stack up to Burrow's, but a lot of that is because there were multiple times where he would get pulled out of the game and Mitch Trubisky would come in because they already had such a large lead that he didn't need to be out there risking injury, and he could kind of just sit and chill rather than padding his stats. And I mean, he still had a very impressive season. He had, I think, close to 40 touchdowns, and he's got the Bills in probably the best shape that they've ever been in.
He had a remarkable season, and he took a big step forward, which is saying a lot for a guy like Josh Allen. Didn't turn over the ball.
Yeah,
he really didn't turn over the ball that much, and that's really impressive. And I didn't watch a lot of him this year, but I remember when he was playing the Broncos, I kept thinking, it's impossible to stop this guy. You can't stop it. He's got an incredible arm, incredible accuracy, and if everything breaks down around him, he takes off. And he picks up. You can't tackle the guy. You can't stop him. He was super impressive and super efficient this year. He was kind of, in the past, kind of Brett Favre, didn't know, what exactly he was going to do. But this year he showed why he was a pro in the NFL, and I think he's my MVP frontrunner too. I think he's got to win it.
And I mean, I feel like it's overdue for him. He maybe could have had it last year. It was between him and Lamar, and of course Dak, I think, was in the conversation. You also had Tyreek Hill and CMC in there a little bit, but I think, it's a quarterback award at the end of the day. They love giving it to quarterbacks, and I think Josh Allen was a quarterback that was up there alongside Dak and Lamar for the award last year. And, I think it's about time that he finally wins an MVP for himself, to
Absolutely.
Put him amongst the ranks of other MVP quarterbacks.
Yeah. And I don't know if MVP applies to the postseason too, does it?
No, it's just the regular season.
Oh, even so, if he brings that team to a Super Bowl, which it's looking like he could really do this year, if he can get past the Chiefs, and if he gets there, I really like the Bills' odds. Just they got to get past the Chiefs and their dark magic. But if they get there and if he wins the Super Bowl, I know postseason doesn't really matter for that, but I think he's the MVP this year. But on the conversation of MVP, what about Saquon Barkley? Is he in that conversation?
I mean, he had a great year. 2,000 yards, fantastic. But, I mean, just with the year that Burrow, Lamar, and Allen all had, it's going to be really tough for him to also make a case for himself, just because he is going against three of the best quarterback seasons in recent memory, all in the same year. Lamar tossed, I think, like 37 touchdowns or something like that, and he only threw like 4 or 5 picks, insanely impressive.
Yeah.
Josh Allen had nearly the same amount of touchdowns. He had slightly more picks, but he has a better record, I mean, Lamar also had like 5,000 total yards when you include his rushing and his passing. Joe Burrow nearly had 5,000 just passing. I think he led the league in passing touchdowns. Just impressive years from all three of them. It's really hard for a running back to try to compete with those because how much extra value a quarterback brings to their football franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensive Player of the Year, I think he's got locked down.
Oh, he's absolutely got it on
I was just
lockdown.
about to say that.
And Madden cover probably too.
You took it from me.
Yeah.
But going back into the Ravens-Bills game, I was really disappointed to see how Lamar performed in the first half. He performed amazing in the second half, brought them back into the game. But in the first half, he was very anti-Lamar. You know, throughout the entire year, the Ravens had not turned the ball over multiple times in any game. And Lamar himself turned the ball over twice in just the first half.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was very disappointing performance. And, of course, he turned it on in the second half and gone back into a point where they could have won the game. But, you know, they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place had Lamar played better in the first half, you know? Mm-hmm. He threw a really bad pick. DeMar Hamlin forced a fumble on him. It was just really tough for him in the first half.
Yeah.
Now a quick break from our sponsor.
Best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Hi, my name is Bo Brown, and this is how I feel before I take my first sip of Folgers coffee. And this is me after I take my first sip of Folgers coffee. To be the best I can be, because with every new sip, perfection is only just around the corner. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. This is not an official advertisement for Folgers Coffee.
I didn't watch any of the games, so I'm trying to like give some insight, but I do not know at all.
It's okay, man. Not everyone can watch all the games.
I mean, he's...
do what I do sometimes. I'm doing it a little bit this podcast too. Just look it up as you go.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, his phone's the microphone.
Our phones are out of commission. We're talking to you through an Apple Watch right now, so...
Wait, what do you mean your phone's out of commission?
My phone is the camera, and his phone is the microphone.
Oh.
So we are on the phone with you using my Apple Watch.
Oh, did they slide under there? Oh, that blows, dude.
Oh, and one of them was Jim Harbaugh.
Oh.
Dude, I sneezed 3 times. Did you
These
hear
are
that?
valuable. I probably shouldn't have. Well, what are you going to do?
3 times. That's
Yeah,
never
you'll get him
happened.
back eventually.
How?
Maybe.
No? Oh. Okay, do you want to transition into the next thing, Ryan? How do you want to do the transition and talk about what?
Yeah, we'll just get into the preview and everything.
All right, you can do that whenever you're ready. All right, Matt, we're gonna make the transition.
All right.
Let me just fix these real quick a little bit. All right.
And now I want to get into talking about the conference championship games that are coming up. We've got the Bills playing at the Chiefs, and we've got the Commanders playing at the Eagles. And I want to just hear our predictions and our previews for these games coming up this weekend. So how are we feeling about... Let's start with probably the one that we're less excited for. But, I mean, we're excited for both of them. But, you know...
Hey, I think you were going to say the Chiefs-Bills, right?
Yeah.
Well, now, this is an exciting game because this is a prime matchup between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Josh Allen has not been able to get the better. Josh Allen has not been able to get the better of Pat Mahomes in the postseason yet, and this is a big opportunity.
This is the fourth time.
The fourth postseason matchup, and
It's the second time in the conference, though, isn't it?
I believe it's the third. I could be wrong, though.
That was one off.
well, you know that the Bills are coming with just such a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to give it their all against this Chiefs team.
Yeah, and it's not like the Bills to lose 4 big games in a row or anything.
No,
either.
it's not like the Bills at all. It's not like they hashtag Jim Kelly. He's probably up here somewhere. But.
Yeah, he's right here.
Is he? Yeah. Jim Kelly's actually up here. Okay, cool.
But
Kelly's in our comment section right now.
you know, you gotta break the streak somehow. You know, you can't. You have to overcome the previous bad history that you have by breaking that history. Literally, you know, the Bills lost 4 big-time games, the Super Bowl, in a row. Heartbreaking for those fans. They break that curse. They break all that pain by finally breaking through and beating Mahomes on the 4th occasion this year. Mm-hmm. And if they can't, it's going to be even worse heartbreak for these Bills fans, and I do not want to see them suffer through this. Yeah. It really feels like this might be Josh Allen's time to prove himself maybe the best player in the world.
You feel like that. I feel like you feel like that more and more every year, whoever's going up against the Chiefs. And it's been the Bills a lot of the time. You feel like, this is their time. I feel like we felt like that last year. There's no way the Chiefs are going to make it back to the Super Bowl again. And we feel like that even more this year because even though the Chiefs went 15-2,
yep.
Even though they went 15-2, we all watched the Chiefs this year. This isn't the best Chiefs team that there's been, despite their record. They had a lot of luck on their side this year, and I just don't think it's their time to win this game. I think this is Josh Allen's time to shine, and I really want to see that team go to another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen has just looked completely unstoppable this year.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he is playing football, it amazes me every week to see. I do not think I've seen a player as unstoppable as him. And obviously this is a different sport, but I don't think I've seen a player as unstoppable and on a mission as much as Josh Allen is this year since Giannis with the Bucks back in 2021 when he won his first championship. I don't think I've seen a player on this much of a mission since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ryan, I just wanted to ask, do you want a napkin real quick?
Oh my God.
Sorry, that's all I wanted to say, but I wanted to keep it PG. You know what I mean.
I mean, I brought up your Bucks, buddy.
Yeah, I know. That's why I kept it PG. You're welcome.
So, what's your prediction for this game? Official score and all.
I think it would be perfectly poetic if it comes down to a score of 20-20. Tyler Bass lines up for a kick. And after all the heartbreak the Bills fans have ever faced, this time he doesn't go wide left like he did last year or like Scott Norwood did. Instead, he hits it right down the middle as time expires. They win 23-20. Bills advance to the Super Bowl.
I like that prediction. Matt, what do you think?
I think I agree with Ryan with the first part. I think it'd be absolutely poetic that it's dead tied like 2020. However, I think Tyler Bass does line up, and I think that Tyler Bass, instead of missing it wide left, he misses it wide right. And I think it's a very long field goal. I believe it'd probably be difficult, but I would say Tyler Bass lines up for a 67-yard field goal, misses it wide right, and then it gets returned for a touchdown. Chiefs win, go to the Super Bowl.
Wow. That would be the craziest dark magic.
If that happens...
If that happens, I might stop watching football.
Yeah.
If that happens, though, I'm just saying, if the Chiefs do that, I will root for them in the Super Bowl, but only if it happens that exact way.
Fair enough.
That would be...
Otherwise, I hit the Chiefs.
That would be the craziest way to clinch a Super Bowl appearance with a kick 6.
Oh, it'd be so crazy. Plus, Tyler Bass would be out of the NFL. It'd be perfect.
Man.
Jeez. That is a crazy take. I'm gonna say the Bills finally get the best of the Chiefs, and Josh Allen goes in for 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Final score, say 25-23 Bills.
25-23. Yeah. So all close scores. We all had similar scores.
It's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a close game. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think it's gonna be a super high scoring game because two solid defenses there. So that's my prediction for that one.
Yeah. And then getting into the Commanders at the Eagles. We got Jayden Daniels and the new face of Washington, Saquon Barkley, the new face of Philly, going against each other. How we feel about this one?
Gosh.
Honestly, I really want B-Wags to get another ring, man.
Yeah. He's, in case you don't understand what he's saying, Bobby Wagner, of course, is nicknamed B-Wags. He's playing for the Commanders now.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for that. I should have been more clear for the audience. Yeah, Bobby Wagner, he is one of my favorite players of all time. He was in the Legion of Boom with the Seahawks, and it was easily one of the greatest defenses of all time. B-Wags has had a lot of ups and downs in his career. Especially with the Seahawks, but now that he's ventured out and he's with the Commies, he may be a little old and up there. However, I truly believe this is kind of like seeing him reborn. Like, dude's been doing really good, and like he's got a pretty solid defense with a really solid offense. I mean, this team can go far, man.
Yeah. The Commanders have looked very impressive. Jayden Daniels especially.
Yeah. What do you think the final score is going to be, Matt?
This one's definitely going to be a high-scoring one. I say Washington Commanders win this one 39, and Eagles have 28.
Wow. Commanders.
Yeah, rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. And, that would be the youngest QB to win it as well. Plus, I think the youngest QB to win a Super Bowl is Big Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Yeah, he was a sophomore, and he won with the Steelers over your Seahawks.
Yeah, we don't got to talk about that game.
All right, Rod, what do you think?
Well, something I just wanted to bring up before I get into it. We've got a very interesting matchup, quarterback matchup this coming week between these two teams. You got Jayden Daniels, rookie, of course. No rookie starting quarterback has ever played in the Super Bowl before. So that could be history. Another thing, Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that lost his Super Bowl debut. A quarterback that lost his Super Bowl debut has not gotten back to the Super Bowl ever again in their career over the last, I believe, 30 seasons.
Wow.
Or it's pretty close to that. The last quarterback to lose their debut and then play in the Super Bowl, the most recent one, was John Elway.
Wow.
So it's been a really long time since a quarterback has made it back to the Super Bowl after losing their debut. So we could see history kind of either way.
Yeah,
no matter who wins.
That's pretty cool.
Either Hurts breaks history or Daniel sets it,
Yeah.
That would be nuts, man. That'd be absolutely nuts. Crazy. That'd be the craziest storyline.
Yeah, either way you look at it, that's going to be a good game. I definitely agree with you, Matt. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. As much as I want to pick the Commanders here, because I really like Jayden Daniels and I like that team and what they've done, I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think they get the job done. I just think they're an older, more put together team. And I'm going to say high-scoring game. Let's go 33. No, let's go 29 to 30 to 29 Eagles.
30 to 29 Eagles.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to go against you. I think the Commanders get this one. I think a big part of football, it's not just the talent on the field, it's who's coaching on the sidelines. And at the end of the day, if you ask me, I think that Dan Quinn is the better head coach than Nick Sirianni. I think he's going to be the one that's going to come out hot. He's going to get the team playing where they're supposed to be. And I really think the Commanders can go out there and shock the Eagles in Philly.
In Philly.
In front of all those Philly fans. Man, it would be insane. Detroit and Philly back-to-back weeks, they can upset two of the most passionate fan bases out there. But I really think the Commanders can do it this week, If they force Jalen Hurts to maybe make a couple mistakes. They've beaten them already this year. Now, to be fair, it was with Kenny Pickett playing for the Eagles. But I think it will have a large morale boost for that team. I think they're going to come out hot. I think they're going to be ready. I think the Eagles might start out slow. The main factor is how well they will be able to contain Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
If they can slow down Saquon Barkley, because you can't contain him. But if you slow him down, you might have a chance. And I think that they will be able to do it. I say Commanders win this game. They're going to win it 31 to 29.
31-29. Commanders. Rookie goes back to the Super Bowl for the first time ever.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool to watch.
And what a way it would be to cap off the amazing rookie season that Jayden Daniels has had. Maybe the best ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, however you look at it, as long as the Chiefs don't, make it back to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
As long as they don't win another Super Bowl, I think it's been a great season.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily hating on the Chiefs. I mean, we don't like them, of course. They're a division rival. But it's more just the fact of we want parity in the league. And there's not parity if it's always the same teams. We want to see different teams every year because that's what the most exciting brand is. Seeing the same teams every year, it gets boring. We want to see new, fresh faces competing with each other. That's why the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Bengals was so fun. And there was, no hatred in that game. There was no hate watching. Everyone was excited to see a new face of Joe Burrow and a new face of Matthew Stafford fight each other for their chance to win their first ever Super Bowl, because there were two new faces that we never seen reach that point before.
Yeah, and just a breath of fresh air from that Chiefs team. Just one season, just take a break. Even New England, they had their on years and they had their off years.
Yeah.
And you just want to see that. Just want to be able to take a breath and see some new faces there this year. And, this Chiefs team just doesn't deserve to go back to a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
No,
Yeah,
they're so bad, man.
Hey, they've got the curse of 15 wins
Yeah.
going against them, Like I said, no team has ever won Super Bowl since the 85 Bears, at least, to have 15 wins and then win the Super Bowl. It hasn't happened since then. So, the curse already hit the Lions this year, which, by the way, also, first season in NFL history, 2 teams won 15 games in the same season.
Yeah, really? Wow. Yeah.
But,
Well, not only that, you also got to look at the teams that are still in the playoffs now. That is the highest amount of wins I've ever seen in a conference round. I've never seen that many teams have that a high amount of wins before. It's insane.
Yeah, the Bills, I believe they have 13. The Eagles, I think, have 14, I want to say. Chiefs have 15, of course. Commanders have the least. I believe they have 11, which is still a lot, especially considering they were a wild card team.
They have 12.
They have 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the worst team, and they have 12.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
All good football teams, This is going to be a really fun conference championship week we got coming up.
It is. I'm excited to watch it. And
I cannot wait, dude. I already told my boss, I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm not coming in Super Bowl Sunday. Speaking of, if you guys want to set us up for Super Bowl Sunday, just let me know.
we
Absolutely.
we were thinking about maybe doing a live stream, with the podcast. Maybe.
Dude, yes. Absolutely. Count me in if you guys are down.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey, if the Bills are playing in it, I made a promise to my friends a few years ago. I might have to pay out finally. So, just for context, I promised my friends a few years ago, if the Bills win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen at the helm, I will, while wearing a Josh Allen jersey, jump through a table, or at least attempt
remember that.
to jump through a table.
God, I forgot
And
about
it's
that.
been
Wow.
years since I said that, but Josh Allen is still their quarterback,
Yeah.
and it could happen.
Jeez. I totally forgot it, but good for you for remembering that promise that you
Yeah,
made. Jeez.
I have the fear of that remind me every single year about having to jump through a table, and then the Bills lose, and I go, oh. Thankfully, I don't have to do it until next year. Unfortunately, though, that means I'm probably watching the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But
Yeah. God, I hope you don't remember any of the promises that I make or bets that I make.
I do have one voice clip of you, but it is actually aging pretty well. Unlike
It's aging well, right?
I thought you were going to
called
be
it.
completely wrong, but it's actually aging pretty well. You thought Kyle Pitts was going to be a bust. So far, he kind of has been.
Started out strong, but just hasn't done that much. Hasn't done that much. Kyle Pitts is a bust. And I called it. So. Anyway. What? Alright, guys, we're back. We just found out that we
had a whole video set up and we were recording the whole podcast, but I went over to check on it and the phone died and none of the recordings saved. So unfortunately this week it's going to be all audio for the first episode. Thankfully the audio did save and we still have a first episode to post. But that being said, we just wanted to thank you guys for watching our first episode of Inside the
Tailgate.
Thank you. Inside the Tailgate with Ryan and Bo, featuring Matthew. I'm Bo.
Just want to thank Matt for being our first guest
Thank
as well.
you, Matt. Yeah.
Matt, you were a fantastic guest.
Stellar.
Lovely show that we put on, and we're glad to have you here for it.
Heck yeah, guys. Thanks for having me. This was a great time. I cannot wait to come back and have more adventures with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to have you back on in the future.
Alright, that sounds great.
Sounds good. All right, guys. I'm Bo.
I'm Ryan, and this has been
I'm Matthew.
Inside the
Inside
Tailgate.
the Tailgate. Peace out.